We're snorting cap rates and shooting up cash flow here at Deal Junkies. Welcome back to Deal Junkies. I'm Gabe Johansson here in Manzanillo, Mexico with Trevor Howard, Dane McKinney. We've got Mike Nuss back in Salem holding down the fort, and he's brought on a very special guest today, Matt King, CEO of GoBundance. Matt, thanks for joining us on the show today.
Yeah, thank you so much. Next time I think we should record these live in Mexico because where you guys are looks way more fun than where I'm at.
We're trying to live a GoBundance lifestyle, so I want to learn more about what you do, Matt, and I'm going to let Mike introduce you because he knows a lot more, but why don't you take it over, Mike?
Yeah, Matt is a leader of men. He looks like he's 18, but he's not. He's 30-something. Matt first came on my radar before I joined GoBundance. A friend had been trying to get me to join GoBundance for a while, and he had went to an event, and he talked about David Osborne, talking about how you find and hire great talent. And Neil had a great story that David had shared about how he had found Matt. And then eventually I joined GoBundance. And early on, Matt was more behind the scenes. But at some point, he elevated to CEO. And I was able to meet him. And one of the things that, we'll talk about GoBundance. We'll talk about the pillars. Matt was really known when he got in there and created the Second in Command Club. I think that. So for the background, David Osborne is a huge Keller Williams guy. He's got a big and family office investment portfolio. When I met David, he had a goal of having $1 billion family office. I think what's really cool about GoBundance is now David's actually stepped off of that goal. From what I understand, his life has changed. He's seen impact. He's made different decisions on his life. And if you listen to David, one of the wealthiest, like David's given a keynote at BP that had everyone in the room standing. The way he talks about Matt, you understand quickly that David doesn't become David without Matt. And so Matt has this he's ridiculously talented. I think he went to MIT or something like that. So he's got this crazy finance background. And so he runs David's family office. But more than that, he keeps David organized. He keeps GoBundance organized. He lives the core values of what GoBundance are. We call them the pillars. He's grabbing life big. He has a huge charity event that he's doing this next year, which is one reason he's on the podcast tour. He has his own podcast. And he's a huge resource for a lot of really amazing human beings to go to just think things through. Matt will be the first one to say, hey, you have a problem, give me a phone call. I don't care what it is. We'll chat about it. I will make time for you. I think the first time I met him might have been in Austin in August of 2019. And he did. He gave me his phone number and made time for me at that point when I could use some time from a one-on-one standpoint. And so that's kind of the background. He's a super special guy. I think one way we can really get into it for the podcast is, what's it like running a family office and having all kinds of different types of deals coming at you? And what are your favorite types of deals? Do you like the stock market? Do you like businesses? Do you like real estate? Kind of what makes you tick in the investment world? And then through there, we'll get into, your background and what you actually really like in life.
Where are you at, Matt? Tell us where you're zooming in from and then tell us all about yourself.
Yeah, I'm actually zooming in from our ranch here just outside of Austin, Texas. This is where I call work, soon to be called home too. We're going to move out here. We live about 20 minutes from here right now, but we've got about 20 head of Longhorn. We got chickens, goats, miniature Scottish Highlands, some zebras. Like, this has really just become a playground for our life and our family and our friends and anybody that comes to it. Mike, just to go back to what you said, like, it's incredibly humbling to hear somebody talk about you, and to just hear those words from you, man. I really appreciate it. I think like the really cool thing for your listeners is to recognize that I actually didn't go to MIT. I actually don't have a background in finance. I actually dropped out of college. And so like, it's very easy for anybody listening to this to do whatever they want. And I mean, like, look, we've got a 1-year-old little girl here with us on an interview. Can you say hi?
Hey.
And then we got my 4-year-old son over here hiding out there here with grandma and grandpa, hanging out at the ranch. But you know, what you alluded to, Mike, I think is spot on, which is like always be of service or in service. And I realized, like, you know, what you said about, you know, David and Mai's relationship, like, you know, to be clear, like I wouldn't be Matt without David. Like we have such a really cool relationship and such a really cool rapport with one another. He was the first person, him and his wife were the first people to meet our kids, because our in-laws and my parents were on a plane on Southwest from Wisconsin, and they weren't there in time. And so they were there at the hospital in the waiting room waiting for my wife to deliver our first kid. David was the one who married my wife and I. His kids walked down the aisle as the ring bearer and the flower girl. And we've just always had this like really cool, like trusting relationship. And early on in our relationship, literally what he said to me is like, I think you're talented. If I'm right, I have opportunity for you. And if I'm wrong, move back to wherever the heck you came from. And so it was really like a heads he won, tails I lost kind of a scenario. And I've just always loved to put myself in those kind of positions because I believe in betting on myself. And I think, you know, when we talk about investing in deals, I think that's the most important investment anybody could make, which is investing in themselves. And that's what GoBundance is all about. That's what my life is all about. Like, many people don't look at personal development like an investment, but it is. Like if you invest in yourself, you will generate a return. You might not be able to calculate it on a spreadsheet, but you will be able to calculate it at some point in time. And so I think, you know, just the way that I live life is very unique. I have a very unique perspective, but I think that comes from being a college dropout. It comes from being counted down, counted out. It comes from going from the back of the room as a volunteer to GoBundance event to the front of the room on stage, being a leader of leaders, standing in front of a room of 300 plus men. You know, that group is worth a combined net worth of over $7 billion. Like all of that stuff is only possible because I believed in myself and I invested in myself to get 1% better every single day.
That's awesome.
Man alive. Absolutely. What college did you drop out of?
I dropped out of the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. That was the third college I attended. I was going to originally play soccer at Carroll College in Wisconsin. Didn't like that. Dropped out of there. Went to a local community college so I could play soccer with my best friend. Was like, okay, I did my little thing at the community college. Now I'll go to UWM. That's what I'm supposed to do. Went over there, and literally one night it came down to I could either go and take this exam for a business course being taught by a professor who had probably never run a business in his entire life, or I could print t-shirts for a company I owned at the time. And I was like, one thing is costing me over $3,000. The other thing is going to make me over $3,000. And so like in that moment, I just decided, and I'll never forget, I was listening to Jason Aldean Flyover States. And I was like, man, like how ironic to listen to a song like that about like all this opportunity and all these places in the world, and to be deciding in this moment while I'm putting ink on a t-shirt for a run for a hospital that I'm not going to go to college. It's not my path. It's not for me. And so I dropped out of the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee.
Bet on yourself.
Yeah, man, I bet on myself. Now, like, it's not all like beauty and rainbow and sunshines. Like the first thing that happened is like, I felt a lot of regret and like insecurity around like being a college dropout. So I didn't tell people at first that I had dropped out of college. Like I waited to tell my parents because I was afraid of being judged by others. And that was like one of the lessons that thing taught me was like, it doesn't matter what other people think. Like if it's true to you, that's all that matters. And like, we're not living our lives to try to be accepted by the world around us. We're living our lives to try to be accepted by the man we see in the mirror every single day. And so like I had to overcome some critical thoughts I had, some negative beliefs about myself, and just like the opinions of others. I had to decide to like take those opinions and put them in the trunk of my car, even if they were my family and my closest friends, and say like, I love you guys. I can't forget you. I don't want to leave you behind, but like, I can't have you backseat driving in my life right now, or I'm going to end up where you want me, not where I want me.
It's a great analogy.
Yeah, I think that's one of those ones that you hear all the time, but you have to learn it yourself. Everybody always says, like, who cares about the opinions of others? And you hear that all the time growing up. Like, it just matters what you think. And then you still figure out that your whole life you care what other people think until the moment that you don't. But it's because something like that happens where it's like, oh, I have to not care. Like, I made that decision irregardless of what other people think, and now I have to like stand on it. Like, no, that's really what I should have done. And it doesn't matter what you think, because I'm still going to do all the things that I set out to do.
Yeah. And it goes back to this whole concept of like, never take criticism from someone you wouldn't take advice from. So like, I'm not going to let the plumber that's working for me criticize how I'm treating my cattle if I wouldn't take advice for him on how I should care for my cattle. Like, if he doesn't own cattle, why would I care about his criticism? Like, if he can't actually tell me how to do it better because he's a plumber, then I'm not going to listen to his criticism. Now, if he's a plumber that runs a really cool herd of cows and he criticizes it because I would actually take his opinion and his feedback and his praise, like, cool, I'll take that opinion and I'll apply it to my life. But there's a lot of people that sit on the sidelines of our life, you know, throwing popcorn from the stands and telling us how we should be running the play better or how we could do it better. But they're doing it from the stands. They're not doing it from in the arena. And like, the best example I can give of this is like, I'm getting ready to ride my bike 2,000 miles from Mexico to Canada. I'll ride 150 miles a day for 13 days in a row. Now, I am not a cyclist. And when I publicly committed to doing this, I had so many people call me and tell me about how wrong I was doing this and how bad of an idea this was. And every single time somebody called me, I would say, wow, thank you so much for your feedback. Can I ask you a question? They'd be like, yeah, of course. I'm like, how did you do it when you rode your bike across America? They're like, oh, we never did it. I'm like, okay, cool. Got it. Understood. Thank you so much. Right? Like, I appreciate that they're looking out for me, allegedly. Like, I appreciate that they want to give me their opinion, but unless they've done it, I'm not going to let that weight of that opinion slow me down. I'm just going to take it as a receipt, as I call it. I write them all right here in my journal. And when the miles get hard, I go to my receipts page and I'm like, this next 10 miles is for this guy who told me I couldn't do it. This next 10 miles is for this girl who told me this was a bad idea. This next 10 miles is for this guy that said I couldn't juggle family, work, a ranch, and training to ride a bike. And I just find a way to use those receipts, not out of spite, not out of anger, but out of like motivation, that if I can prove to them that I can do it, maybe it will give them permission in their life to do something that they're afraid to do.
Can you speak to the family office? I'm interested to hear on what kind of deals you guys are looking at and what you're doing there.
Yeah. So, I mean, like the name of the podcast, Deal Junkies, is like the perfect name for the family office. Like, David is an incredible human being who has really just become a deal junkie because he's first generation wealth. So he wasn't like trained or groomed for like managing deal flow or looking at deals or having an investment thesis or having, you know, an allocation policy. It was just like, hey, I'm a really scrappy, really hardworking, really smart entrepreneur who built a really big set of businesses and now has capital that I can start to deploy. So we've invested in probably 250 to 300 deals across every single opportunity you could imagine. I mean, CPG, which is consumer product goods, real estate, oil and gas, business, technology, like whatever deal you could imagine, we've seen it and probably invested in it. And we've invested in it as a way to like get exposure to things, like just to see things, to learn things, to meet people. And what I've learned through the process is most investments aren't in a deal. They're in a human being, whether it's CPG, real estate, development, syndications, multifamilies, you're investing in a human. And so like, as good as the deal looks on paper, as good as the pro forma looks, as good as the deck looks, it doesn't matter if the human behind that deal is not a caliber, like a high caliber human being, it's not going to work. So like all of the investments we make today now, we run through our filter. And basically the first filter is like, do we like this person? Do we trust this person? Do we want to be in business with this person? Do we believe in this person? Do they have a track record of success? And like, we look at the person way more than we look at the deal. Of course, the deal still has to make sense. It still has to pencil. We still have to be able to get our minds wrapped around the deal. But it's really the human that's going to determine the success of the deal more than anything.
What are some of the things you do to vet those sponsors and those people that you're investing in?
Yeah. The first thing I do is I ask a ton of questions. Like, one of the biggest mistakes I see investors make is they don't ask a lot of questions. They're afraid to ask questions. So I'm not afraid to ask any question under the sun. Like, even send me your spreadsheet, send me the data, send me this information, send me everything. Like, I ask a million questions. The other thing I do is I always try to triangulate the truth. So somebody pitching you a deal obviously believes in the deal and they're incentivized to raise money for the deal and they're incentivized to see the deal go well, right? But that's like buying a car from a salesman. Like, of course, he's going to tell you the Mercedes is the best and why it's better than a BMW. But have you gone to the BMW dealer and asked why the BMW is better than the Mercedes? Like, have you triangulated the truth? And so whenever we see a deal, we try to triangulate the truth, which is we'll call other people that know the operator. We'll call other people in the industry. Hey, what do you know about oil and gas? What do you think about this price per barrel? What do you think about this price to set up a drilling rig? And like, we'll ask all these questions to try to triangulate the truth as to like how realistic is the plan or the deal that's proposed to us versus how optimistic or hopium filled, as we call it, like how much hopium is in this deal. And that's, I think, the biggest thing we do. The other thing I would say is we've learned through all the investments we've done, we don't let other people learn how to shave on our face anymore. And what I mean by that is if this is somebody's first time doing this, do we really want to give them the razor and say, hey, try to learn how to shave on my face? Like, what happens the first time you go to shave? Most of the time you cut yourself. So when we invest, we try to mitigate our downside by not being like in someone's first deal. That's not to say we won't ever do a first deal, but if a guy was like an anesthesiologist that became a real estate syndicator and could sell commercial real estate, and this was the first deal he's ever done, and he needs to raise capital for it, it's not that I don't believe in him. It's just that he doesn't really know yet what's all going to be thrown his way, what TI is going to be required, what insurance increases are going to be required, what happens when the AC breaks. Like, he just hasn't experienced it. So like, let's let him learn how to shave on his own face before we put our capital at risk. And like the last thing I would say is just like, we really are trying to always be a slow to a yes. And most times you see a deal, people will be like, hey, I got this best deal ever. It's almost fully raised. I need an answer by Friday. Like anytime somebody tries to put urgency around a deal, like for me, generally that's an immediate red flag. Like literally before this call, I got a text. Hey, can you fund this today? It's like, no, I can't fund it today. Like, and it's amazing because they tell you like, oh, it's going to be gone. And then you're like, hey, sorry, we're out. We can't do it today. Monday, you get a call like, hey, good news. It was spring break. We got a couple week extension. Are you still interested? And it's like, yeah, I'm still interested. Send me the data. And you just like try to be a slow to a yes, because the first capital in a deal generally is the riskiest capital, because with time comes more awareness and more knowledge as to how the deal is going to perform. And so like the smartest, most sophisticated family offices that I've been around try to generally be last capital in, because that's the least risky capital, because you have way more time to see how things have gone. What's happened to interest rates? What's happened to tariffs? What's happened to political policy? What's happened to the insurance increase? What happened to the tax increase? Like you can see all of these things, and the more data you have, the more calculated you can be with your bet and the less risk you can take. And like the last thing I'll say is I had the incredible privilege of going up and spending a day with the family office that owns the Cincinnati Reds. And I mean, we were in this incredible boardroom, literally overlooking the baseball field. And I asked the CEO of the family office, I said, hey, how do you guys think about risk? And I had literally pondered this question the entire flight. I'm like, man, this is going to be gold. Like, I can't wait to hear about how they look at risk, how they analyze it. I thought they'd have some special matrix and a formula and all this crazy plan. And he sat back in his chair and he started to laugh. And he said, we don't take risks. And I was like, oh, interesting. Like, okay, so like, what does that mean? He's like, risk is just a lack of knowledge or a lack of controls. We don't take risks. We either know what we're investing in and feel totally confident in it, or and we have a path to control. And we know if we can control it, we're not going to take a risk because we trust our team to be able to take it over and run it effectively. And I was like, holy cow. Like my mind was blown. Like I never would have thought to look at risk that way. Like risk is literally a lack of knowledge or a lack of controls. And so I immediately ripped off and duplicated that, brought that back into the family office, brought that back into the GoBundance tribe and said like, hey, no more taking risks, because here's what the definition of risk is from their perspective. Let's all apply that to our lives. And it's just been a game changer.
You talked a little bit about deal flow and capital allocation. Can you speak a little bit more to that? Are people bringing you deals? Do you have buckets of capital that somebody brings you a deal and you go, no, that bucket's already too full, we're going to go into something else? How do you determine where to invest your funds?
Yeah. So deal flow, first of all, I would say like we probably see somewhere between 2 to 5 deals a week. Because every single conversation David was having for 10 years was like, I'm looking for deals. I'm looking for deals. I'm looking for deals. And you almost think about it like planting seeds. Like you plant all these seeds of I'm looking for deals. And then when someone finds a deal, they're like, oh yeah, David Osborne wants a deal. David Osborne wants a deal. And so they would just send us deals, and we're still getting deals constantly. And he's, bless his soul, he's still out there telling everybody we want deals. And so we just keep getting new deals and new deals and new deals, which is great because then we can look at all that information and all that data. When we think through an allocation policy, we're not as good at this as I would like to be. We don't have a crystal clear allocation policy. We have some like internal beliefs and some internal systems, but our capital, David's capital, our capital inside of the family office is very entrepreneurial by nature. So it's kind of like scrappier than the traditional family office. I will use the allocation policy as a nice way to say no, because you never really want to say no to something on a deal, because generally, like if you say no without any positive feedback or without any perspective or without any more clarity, that person's never going to bring you another deal. And we always want people to bring us deals. So if I don't like something, I'll say like, hey man, I'm really sorry, but our allocation policy for that kind of investment this year is already full. If I can do anything to help you, if I can do anything to support you, if there's any introductions I can make, happy to help there. But unfortunately, our capital isn't able to go into this deal this year. And so I'll use the allocation policy more as an excuse because we don't really have one. Now we have some like beliefs, like we are part owners in a private equity firm that invests in operating businesses and roll-ups. So if somebody brought me an operating business deal, I probably would pass on that because we already have control in another bucket. We do a lot of real estate ourselves. So if somebody bought me a single family real estate deal, we would probably say, no, we don't want to be an LP in that because we own 101 single family homes already in the family office. So like the allocation policy is really about what do we have internally and do we want exposure to somebody else as an LP in that same arena if we already have the expertise on our team.
So when you're in so many different arenas, how do you look at a deal? Like, what's your buy box to where you say we're going to go into oil and gas on this deal rather than going into real estate on this other deal that's in front of us?
Yeah, we really try to keep our total return in like the high teens, IRR. Now, IRR is something you have to be careful with. That internal rate of return, it's a very like fungible number. Like the really smart MIT spreadsheet wizards know how to manipulate IRR to actually make it look better than it is in reality because of when they call down your capital, when they send it back, when they recall it. Like there's ways to manipulate IRR. So you have to be careful and not get too obsessed on that. Really, the thing I like to pay attention to is the MOIC, the multiple of invested capital. Like that to me is the most important thing. Like if I give you $1, how many dollars back are you going to give me, and in what time frame? If it's like, hey, the IRR, like we have a deal right now, the IRR over the last 12 months is 55.7%, but the capital is on a revolver and it's out for 90-day period. So like the actual dollars is not that high. The return's stupid, but the dollars is like, it's not that high. Now, it doesn't mean that's a bad deal. It just means like that's not going to be a 7x. That's not going to be a 10x on our money. It's going to be a safe, steady like 1.2-ish x on our money, but it's fast churning and it's putting our capital to work in a very safe space. So we do that. For me, the buy box, getting back to your question, really goes back to the operator. Like we recently invested in oil and gas because the guy bringing us the deal had sold his oil and gas company for hundreds of millions of dollars to a publicly traded firm. And he was putting in $100 million of his own capital into the fund. So it's like, okay, we wanted exposure to oil and gas. We wanted access to this opportunity. And now here's this guy bringing us this deal who's putting $100 million of his own money there. Like probably makes sense that we should follow on and go into that deal. So we really look at it more from like an operator perspective. And then just kind of what do we have an over allocation to? Like I could tell you right now, we aren't really looking for more technology. We have enough exposure to technology. If the right deal came along, maybe we would look at it. But I'm really unsure as to how AI is going to change the world. And I'm just like not so sure now is a great time to be investing in AI. So we're like, or in technology, excuse me. So we're really not looking at a ton of technology right now. we kind of look at like the micro macro trends and say like, is now a good time to get into this game? Not that we're ever trying to time the market, but we are just trying to say like, ooh, it feels a little uncertain right now. We don't know what's going to happen. Let's wait and get a little bit more data.
Do you want all of your operators to have skin in the game? Is that part of your vetting process, or not always?
Yeah, generally they have to have some sort of skin in the game. And you know, like what skin in the game is defined as is very different deal by deal. I mean, if a guy's bringing us a deal, let's say he's run, you know, business acquisition for Blackstone for the last 10 years, and he just left Blackstone. He's starting his own fund. He's worth $5 million. He's going to put $1 million into it. Like, you know, he wants to be all in and he's going to work night and day to build this thing. Great. If that same guy, his net worth was $1 million and his liquidity was 100,000, he's putting 70,000 in, that's enough skin in the game. Like, I just want to know that, like, if things start to go bad, they will lose sleep at night.
There's pain.
And like they will start to have to like question what's going to happen with dinner tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm. Have you had to take over anyone's operations that you've invested in?
Yes, we have.
What does that look like? You just get full control and then you guys have enough team members to go and do that, or it's you personally doing it?
A little bit of both. We're incredibly fortunate to have a really cool team around us of really talented people that can help run stuff. There's been times where I've had to step in and run things. Usually what it looks like, finding somebody that's doing it and just like partnering with them and surfing in their wake, if you will. Like if it's a parking lot in Tucson, I've never run a parking lot. I have no idea how to run a parking lot. Okay, who can we get in business with? Who can we partner with? How can we figure this out? And then we'll like, it's all about the who for us. It's all about finding the right people. Yeah. You know, usually it's not the friendliest of processes, but it's not a messy process because we have the document set up right on the front end where there's no issues. But you know, it's just like when you fire an employee, like generally we set it up where like we're having that conversation for 6 to 12 months of like, if this doesn't get better, if this doesn't get better, if this doesn't get better. So when it doesn't get better, it's not like we blindside people. Like you never want to blindside people if you can avoid it. And so like we like to have a lot of those conversations on the front end or like continually throughout the process so that when we do step into control in the event we have to, it's not a surprise or a shock. It still might not be appreciated. They still might be hurt. They still might be sad. Like all those things are fair and warranted, but like they can't say like we had no idea things weren't going well.
Do you ever underwrite a business and say, the risk in this is if we have to take over, we don't really have the team to operate?
Yeah, that's happened a couple times for us, and like specifically in like the technology side of healthcare, where there was a deal we liked, and we could have gotten whatever path to control we wanted, but I was like, what the hell do we know about telehealth? You know, like we just don't know anything about this space, and we don't really know a lot of people that know a lot of stuff about this space. And it was like, is the risk really worth it? And do we really want to take this risk?
And then you were speaking to equity multiples instead of IRR. What kind of equity multiple and time frame are you guys targeting when using that?
I mean, I'd love a 20x in 1 year if we could get it. I mean, it's just not always possible. I mean, I like to see David doubling his money every 3 years, generally speaking. If we can exceed that, awesome. But that's kind of like my rule of thumb. Like, let's double your money every 3 years. Now, a lot of the times we're looking at stuff right now that's like a 4 or 5x in 3 to 5 years. Like, it's not a bad deal. Like, that's a pretty good place to park our money. But that's kind of like the worst case scenario. So I think a lot of people, when they make investments, make an investment decision based off of like best case scenario. Like, in the event everything goes perfect, here's what's going to happen. We're like, that's great. You can talk about that all day, but like model this as like worst case scenario. Like, what's the worst thing that happens? And we'll underwrite it based off of that. Like the rest of it's just gravy. It's just upside. But like worst case scenario, what's going to happen and how are we going to generate our return?
Is there a percentage across the industry that is standard for family office to allocate to cash? Like how much liquidity do you want to hold?
You know, I think the standard is somewhere between 10 and 20%. We will vacillate between 5 and 15%. David's probably much more aggressive than most people. He has a lot larger appetite for risk. And candidly, he's able to have that appetite for risk because he's built operating businesses that essentially serve as a money river for him in his life. Like a lot of people that are making investments have like one little bucket of capital or one giant bucket of capital, but there's nothing refilling that bucket. So when they all of a sudden think about how much cash do they have, that bucket's not getting replenished.
Right.
If that bucket is constantly getting replenished, you're willing to put a little bit more skin in the game at certain times or for certain deals because you know that spigot to the bucket is still on and still flowing. And it's just a matter of like, okay, how long will it take us to get back? So we kind of look at our trailing 3-month cash outlay and create like a base number of like, what are our monthly overhead? What's our monthly expenses? And then we kind of manage to that number to say, okay, like how long will it take us to get those reserves back? How long will it take us to get those reserves back? But our CFO and I are looking at on a monthly basis a report that I built, which we literally call our cash in, cash out, which is the top of the spreadsheet shows what our cash available is. Now our cash is cash and cash equivalents. So like literal cash, money that's easily liquidated. So like money that's in the stock market, and then accessible lines of credit. We view all of that as forms of cash for us. And then we say over the next 30 days, what are our ins and what are our outs? Like literally everything above $10,000 makes this sheet. And then on the bottom of the sheet, what we put is like, what are the next 12-month projections? So like maybe we invested in a deal. We might have put $5 million in a deal, but they're going to draw the money down over 2 years. Okay, so that we know over the next 12 months, they're going to draw down $2.5 million. We put that at the bottom of the sheet just to keep it aware and just so we have an awareness of it, because you'll get like a third capital call or you'll get like a quarterly capital call. You won't get like a annual capital call for that. And so it might not show up on the cash in, cash out, but we need to be prepared to make that capital call when it is called.
Is your goal for these investments that people are selling them and you're recapitalizing, or do you want them to like refinance and keep growing? Or what do you guys think about those different things?
You know, we're good with either scenario. I think cash flow is really powerful and we love cash flow. David's done an incredible job of building a world based on cash flow. And so we're not afraid of like taking some things that are more like big swings to try to get the big multiple and see what happens with it. And maybe don't have a cash flow play. But at the end of the day, like, you know, there's this saying like you can't eat IRR. I believe there should be a saying about like how you can only eat cash flow. Like cash coming into you is the only lifeblood into your investment opportunity. So like you need to have cash flow. I think a lot of people say they want cash flow and that's the most important thing to them. And then if you look at their balance sheet, you'll see most of their investments either don't have a cash flow component or have a cash flow component that is less than what they tell you their minimum, you know, preferred return is. And you ask them about that and they're not even aware, like, oh yeah, he told me it was going to be an 8%. I'm like, well, dude, it's been a 1.5% for the last 3 years. Like, really? I didn't even know that. Like, how often are you going back and auditing the investments you've made to determine were those good decisions? Were those, you know, good assumptions on our part? Was that a good operator? What's their communication looked like? So we'll go either way on that. But at the end of the day, like, you know, I would say because of the businesses David's built, we're okay with a less cash flowing opportunity in this moment. But we still love cash flow. So if it is a cash flowing deal, we don't mind that as well.
So what's the goal of the family office? Because Mike mentioned you guys were trying to get to $1 billion and then you pivoted.
Yeah, I mean, I think David pivoted. My goal is to still get him to $1 billion. I think you know, David's at a really cool place in his life where he's able to go do the things he wants and the things he desires and the things he loves to do, which I think is beautiful. And look, like I look at money in this way. Like the more you allow it to flow through you, the more it will flow to you. Like money is not going to buy you happiness. Money is not going to buy you health. Yes, it could make you healthier because you can hire the right doctors, but like Steve Jobs had all the money in the world and he still died. Like money is not the end all be all, but the good that money can do for yourself, for your family, for the people you employ, for the communities you live in, for the churches you attend, the schools you support, like it's a really cool tool, but that's all it is. It's just a tool. But selfishly, I'd love to be able to say like the family office is worth $1 billion. Like I think it'd be really cool to do that. And so we're about a little over 20% of the way there. And like my goal is to still get us there. Like I'm working really hard to get us there. I think that would be really cool.
So how many people do you lead? Because you're pretty young to be managing like that amount of money and do all the things that you do.
Yeah, it's an interesting question because really the way I try to set it up is very similar to like the way the military was structured. So like at any one point, you don't really want more than 5 direct reports reporting to you. Right now, I probably have a little bit more than that. But inside of our businesses, inside of the family office, we probably have about 25 people that are working for one of our 100% owned companies and or the family office. But in the ancillary businesses that we're like sometimes 50% owner of, sometimes 25% owner of, there's probably hundreds of people that are working inside of those businesses, many of which I don't know their names and I probably have never met them. And that's not a bad thing. You know, one of the concepts David taught me when I first started with him is you can't get big by managing small. And so I think a lot of people try to manage the minutia in their life. And really all that gives you is a bunch of really small problems that you spend all of your time and your energy on. And so, you know, I don't get lost. Like, I can give you a great example. We recently hired a sales employee inside of GoBundance. I never talked to the guy. I never knew the guy's name. I never saw his AVA or his CAPE. Like, I never saw any of his personality assessments. All I saw was the offer letter, and I signed the offer letter. The first sales huddle he got on, I knew immediately he wasn't a match. I went right back to the team and said, like, hey, this guy's not going to make it. They said, no, let's see. I'm like, okay, great. You got 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, I was like, this guy ain't going to make it. They're like, yeah, we know he's not going to make it. We're going to let him go. So like, you know, I don't get lost in like, I need to talk to him. I need to make sure it's the right hire. I'd rather the team learn a little bit, which does cost us money. It does cost us time. It does cost us energy. But if it helps make our people better, that means the next time they can hire a better person without me being involved. And like, you know, I always say it's like a Chinese proverb, but I was recently told it's in the Bible too. But like, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. And so I'm trying to help our people learn how to fish and just manage and watching them fish. Like, I don't necessarily need to be in the boat. I don't need to be baiting the hook. I don't need to be taking the fish off the hook. I need to know where the boat's going and what the boat's mission is. And then I just need to manage the people inside of that boat and the one person inside of that boat that's responsible for achieving the mission.
So what things do you do that? Because you're leading the boat and then you're managing all the people, and that's a big role. So like what tactical things are you doing to make sure everyone's on the same page?
Yeah, so I'm a big football fan. I never played football, but I love watching football. And one day I was probably 27 or 28 and I was feeling incredibly overwhelmed. I'm a big pen and paper guy. I like to write stuff down. And my to-do list was like 55 items long. I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to keep track of all of this? And I was literally watching a football game and I was watching the offensive play caller call in a play, and he held that sheet over his mouth and he called in the play. I'm like, how does he remember all the plays? So I quickly Googled, like, how do they remember the plays? Well, it turns out they have a play calling sheet. And it literally is like first and long runs, first and long passes, second and short runs, second and short down by 3 play. And they have all their different plays broken up in all the different categories. So like, here's the scenario, here's the plays I call in the scenario. Now I'm picking from 5 options rather than 55 options. And so I created a play calling sheet for the businesses we run. Every single Sunday, I go through this process where I update my play calling sheet. I print it out on a piece of paper. I carry it around in my backpack and I'm looking at it. When I get on a call with one of our leaders, I know the 5-ish plays they're all running that week in the business. And I ask them about those plays. You know, yes, some of those things are a to-do list for me, but most of them are a to-do list for somebody else that I just want to be aware of. And having it all on one piece of paper makes it really easy when one of our drivers of the businesses calls and wants to check in. I have a quick hit sheet that I can go to and be like, hey, how did that thing go? Hey, how did that thing go? Where's this thing at? And I can keep a pulse on the business using this play calling sheet.
How does GoBundance fold into all this for you?
Yeah, man, like GoBundance has just been an incredible thing in my life. I was introduced to GoBundance when I was 23 years old. I was working for Pat Hyben at the time, who's one of the founders of GoBundance and one of David's best friends. And he told me I was going to go volunteer at this thing called GoBundance, which was an entrepreneurial based mastermind group. And I was like, great, I'm in. And like, that's one of the things about my life is like, I kind of just say yes and figure it out later, like whatever I need to do. And I learned that from Rock Thomas. But you know, I said, sure, I'm in, but literally got back in the car and looked up what is a mastermind. Like I had no idea what a mastermind was. And so I went and just was in the back of the room, being of service, helping, whatever it took, 18-hour days, sleeping on an air mattress that didn't hold air. Like I was in a room that A, I didn't qualify to be in, B, I couldn't afford to be in, and C, I never would have been invited to be in. But being around those people, I was able to learn from their conversations and apply all of those things to my life. Like, it doesn't matter what your net worth is. You can have a 5-year vision for your life. It doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank. You can have goals for this year in every garden of your life. So I started doing those things. And literally, like, GoBundance has like shaped me and molded me into like the businessman that I've become. Like, I have incredible parents. They're amazing people. And without their foundation, none of this would be possible. But like, that foundation, I was able to build off of with the principles and the theories from GoBundance members and apply to my life and just like totally change my life. And as a byproduct of running the family office, at one point I was kind of like sitting quasi on the board of GoBundance and being there to just literally take notes in the meetings, make sure like David was accounted for if he couldn't be on the call, etc. And at one point I saw that the Champions organization was just going in a direction that I didn't believe in. Like, I just didn't like what we were doing for the Champions, which is a $10 million and up in net worth. And we had an event like literally coming up in 6 weeks. And I went to David. I was like, hey man, I don't think we're doing this right. Like, I think we got this all wrong and I think I can do it better. And he's like, okay, if you think you can do it better, you try. Like, if you do well, there's an opportunity. And if you suck, I'll just fire you. I'm like, okay. So like, heads you win, tails I lose. Like, same bet as I took before. Sure, I'm in. So I started running the Champions organization in a manner that I thought it needed to be led. And that went well. The other owners of GoBundance, founders of GoBundance, called me and said, hey, would you be willing to do it for the whole thing? And I said, look, man, I'd be honored, because this is like a community that's kind of molded me and shaped me. But I'm not willing to give up the family office. Like, I'd take a bullet for David. He'd take a bullet for me. Like, I'm not willing to abandon him. And they're like, no, you can do that too. And so I stepped into the CEO role a couple of years ago to do it all and to be able to bring a unique perspective, I think, back to the organization, back to the members, because I've seen and get to see on a daily basis, like, so much of it. It'd be like Tiger Woods going back and coaching the Ryder Cup team. Like, this is a guy who's, well, now he might not be, but like, this is a guy who's still actively playing, who's still in the game, who's still competing, who's still seeing stuff, that now gets to be a player coach. And that's kind of what I get to do, is I get to be like a leader of leaders while still playing as a player in the arena that most of our guys are playing in as well.
So can you tell our listeners what GoBundance is and who might be a good fit for somebody who'd want to join?
Yeah. So, really what GoBundance is built on is it's built on sort of 6 core principles and 6 core pillars. And it's about just being a well-rounded human being, not just financially successful. I mean, look, money is good, but it's just a tool. Like, you could have all the money in the world, but without your health, what's it all for? And so GoBundance is really for, people who are looking to get 1% better every single day. Generally speaking, they're entrepreneurial by nature. Maybe they're not an entrepreneur. Maybe they're an intrapreneur, but they like have this desire to build things, to grow. And that's like grow their family, grow their community, grow their business. The average net worth of our members is just over $5 million as it exists today. Minimum net worth requirements to get into GoBundance is $2 million. And then we also have programs for people not yet there, right? To help them emerge and become a millionaire, a multimillionaire, and grow their net worth. And the reason we have that net worth qualifier there isn't because people with money are better. It's because the conversation is just different. And we want to put like-minded people together to hold each other extremely accountable to be better versions of themselves. And I love to tell people, like, every single person I meet every single day, I can learn something from. Whether it's the guy I'm buying cattle cubes from, whether it's the janitor at the airport, or whether it's a guy worth $200 million. Everybody has a unique skill that I can learn from. And I truly believe that. And I truly live that. And inside of GoBundance, we try to put like-minded people together that have a similar playing field with regards to resources or the tools. And that's tied to their net worth. And so it's people looking to live a healthier life, be better husbands, be better fathers. And really, like, what we say is grab life big, which is to like live an abundant life in all categories of your life. It's not just about the money. It's not just about the health. It's not just about the relationships. It's not just about the trips. It's about like, can you do it all and can you have it all? And I think most people listening to this would be like, man, I would love to have it all, but I don't think that's possible. And the thing I would say is like, it is absolutely possible. And like, my life is living proof. I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 1-year-old, a beautiful wife, a ranch with a ton of animals, CEO of GoBundance, running a family office, and I'm training to ride my bike 2,000 miles. Like, yes, the days are full, but I've always dreamed to have a full plate. So who am I to complain about this? Like, there are enough hours in the day. You just have to be extremely disciplined and have the right people in your corner who are willing to tell you what you need to hear rather than what you want to hear. And that's what GoBundance is all about. It's not a bunch of yes men surrounding each other saying like, great idea, great idea, great idea. It's a bunch of people saying like, hey, I see you're really passionate about, but have you thought about this, this, or this? Or have you talked to this guy who's done it and lost his shirt? Like, it's about being around people that are willing to hold you accountable and telling you what you need to hear.
So when you say being around people, is this like a Facebook group, or is this like you meet in person, or you have conferences, or how does that work?
It's all of it. So we do have a Facebook group, although I think we need to get off of Facebook at some point, and I'm working very hard on that. There's in-person local chapters. So there's a monthly sort of like board, I would call it, that you get to see and be around, where you're getting together with your local chapter, which are other GoBundance members in your area. All of our members have the opportunity to join a GoPod, which is like a really tight board of directors, which is people that you get pooled with inside of a pod to really become like your group that you share everything with and are getting constant feedback with. We have big events and big conferences where 300, 350 people come together. It's kind of like all of it because the right environment is different for every single person. Some people will only go to the national conferences. Some people will only get on the Zoom calls. Some people will only sit in the Facebook group and lurk in the comments and learn from there. Like, everybody learns in a different way. And so we try to create opportunities for like everybody to find the connection they need in whatever medium works for them.
What's it take to join? I mean, other than the net worth requirement.
Yeah, membership is $12,500 a year for the elites and $20,000 a year for the champions. Inside of your membership is included the local chapters, the Go Pods, and then one of our national events. If you want to go to the other national event, it's $500. That gives you access to the Facebook group, all the tools, all the technologies, all that stuff. But it's like an annual membership. I tell people it's like a country club for personal development. Like, that's really the best way to describe it.
What are you gonna do after you ride the Continental Divide? What's your next thing?
You know, that's a great.
I assume that's what you're doing. Is it the Continental Divide through Texas?
No, this is well, I don't really know what the Continental Divide is, but I'm pretty sure this isn't the Continental Divide. Oh, okay. It's close to the Continental Divide, but it's not the Continental Divide. So really, again, it all goes back to GoBundance. Like, I feel the need every year to do something that scares me. And 1 year I rode a bull, 1 year I went skydiving. And as I was sitting there planning out my 2026, I said, like, what could I do that's really scary, but that could like make the world a better place? And I just like, it hit me one day that there are so many overlooked communities that all of us are guilty of driving past or driving through and not stopping. And I was like, what would it look like for me to provide direct impact to those communities? And I was like, okay, well, what could this do? How could I do this? And I was running with my friend Matt Johnson, who was running across the state of Texas to raise money for an organization called Valor.
Matt Johnson?
Yeah. I know Matt Johnson really well.
No way. That's super cool.
Yeah, he was actually supposed to come ride his bike with me yesterday because I did 100 miles on my training camp yesterday, and he's training for an Ironman, but he flaked out. But yeah, Matt's a great guy. And so I was running with him on his second run across Texas, and I was just like incredibly inspired by a guy who literally spent 19 days running from Oklahoma to Mexico to raise money for people he probably will never meet. And it was all about getting veterans back into community through CrossFit. And I was like, damn, what could I do? And I just like sat there and kept ideating. And I was like, well, what if I rode my bike across America? Like, that would be really cool. Like, I'm not a cyclist. I don't know like how to do this. Like, I don't know if it's possible, but like if I find the right people and get them in my corner, maybe I could do it. So I reached out to Matt's crew chief that I had met while he was doing the run across Texas. I was like, hey, dude, I got this idea. I want to ride my bike from Mexico to Canada, and I want to raise $1 million and give it all away in the communities we ride through. Like, just from strangers, like whatever it looks like in every community, I want to give it all away. He's like, that's dope, man. I'll do it with you. I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, how often have you ridden a bike? I'm like, oh, a little bit, like I can do it a little bit. He's like, okay, good. So you'll be fine. Like, in reality, I hadn't ridden my bike in like 2 years. And the only time I rode it before that was the one day after I bought it off of Craigslist. Every other day it just sat beautifully on the wall. And it's really just about like, giving my children the permission to live the life they want and to chase their dreams. Like if dad can go from I'm not a cyclist to I rode my bike 150 miles a day for 13 days in a row, like I can do whatever I put my mind to. Like that's what I want them to think. And then B, it was like providing direct impact to these people. Like I feel like the big news and like the big causes, like they get all the attention they need, they get all the money they need, and most of the money doesn't even go to the damn people anyways. It goes to fund the salaries or pay for the beautiful office in downtown New York that overlooks Central Park. And I'm just sick and tired of like these big organizations raising all this money and plastering it all over the world of how great they are and how much good they're doing, but like you never actually see the stories or hear the stories. So I was like, let's just get on a damn bike and document this whole thing. And so to date, we've raised about $288,000. If people go to backtheride, BACKTHERIDE.com, they can follow along on the journey. They can donate. They can sign up to ride with me. They can nominate somebody on our route that's in need. We're going to document the whole thing through YouTube, through social media. Every day we'll have a video from the day prior. And literally, like I'm talking to you guys after 2 days of my first training camp, we rode back-to-back 100-mile days. At the end of day one, we stopped at a center called the Burke Center for Youth, which is here in just outside of Austin, because I said, like, let's start the giving and training camp. Like, why the hell are we going to wait for the real thing? Like, let's do it now. So we went to this Burke Center for Youth. What they do is they take 11-ish-year-old boys to 18-year-old boys, and they give them an environment where they can get the help they need. Most of these boys have experienced severe trauma, most of them sexual abuse in some sort of way, and all of them feeling neglect. And they're all dealing with battles and demons and all of these things. Most of them have been kicked out of foster homes. Most of them have been kicked out of other communities. And they're here at the Burke Center to get the help they need and the therapy they need and the guidance that they need to like have the life that they desire. And so we rode there, ended we actually rode 102 miles that day. We ended there at the Burke Center. I talked to the boys for about 15 minutes. Then we went out to the field. We gave them all new sports equipment and we gave them all new furniture to furnish their reading area and their lounge to get them more encouraged to go read. And I'll tell you what, man, yesterday when I did my next 100 miles, I was faced with that first hill I was faced with, and it was like, this sucks. It was like 6 a.m. My legs were a little solid. I was like, this sucks. And immediately I thought back to the 14-year-old boy I had met the day earlier. His mom was in prison. His sister's already been adopted. He won't get to see her again until she's 18 and he's 18, because that's how the adoption system works, that you can't connect with the family. He's gotten kicked out of a foster home. He's gotten kicked out of another home. And he was telling me that he's working on battling his anger issues and telling me the tactics he's working on and his therapist is working on with him. And as we were going to leave that day, he came up to me and he said, "Hey, are you going to come back?" And I was like, "Do you want me to come back?" He's like, "Yeah, I'd really like you to come back." And he gave me a fist bump. Like, still to this day, I'm getting like chills from this. And as I was faced with that next hill, I was like, man, how lucky am I that this hill is what's hard for me? Like, could you imagine being 14? Your mom's in prison. You don't know when you're going to see your sister or talk to your sister again. And here you are at this random place in Texas, 3.5 hours from where you were born and raised, trying to get help from a bunch of strangers. Like, that's hard. This hill is fucking easy. Like, I can do this hill. And like the why is so big and so powerful. Like yesterday, and even the crew that's with me was like, dude, you were on something today. I was like, yeah, that's called like a why that's so big that nothing else matters. Like, this is for a cause like so big, nothing else matters. To have a 14-year-old that you met an hour and 20 minutes before come back up to you, who hasn't had a positive male influence in his life, and ask you if you're going to come back. Like, dude, that's incredible. I mean, one of the boys there was 11. He had just earned his bike privileges. So like, he was super stoked to show me his bike. And he's like, "Will you ride with me?" And like, in my head, I'm like, dude, I just rode 102 miles. Like, I don't want to ride. Like, are you serious? Like, what are you going to do? You can't tell an 11-year-old no. I was like, hell yeah, I'll ride with you. Go get your bike. So like, dude comes whipping out of the barn. He's got this bike. I learned now from getting my bike fit, his seat was too low, so I gave him some pointers. We raised his seat up, gave him more power. He was stoked. We took the camera off my bike, which is this DJI 360 camera, and we put him on top of the world with this camera. He thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I rode my bike with this kid for 5 minutes. And when we were done riding, I looked at him and I said, "Hey, man, I'm going to be riding through this area on May 29th. Would you come ride with me?" his answer was, let me ask my caseworker because I'm not allowed to leave the property without her permission. Like, could you imagine being an 11-year-old knowing what a caseworker even is? And then also having the life circumstances where you have to ask your caseworker if you can go do something really cool. I was like, dude, don't worry about it. I'll talk to Mr. Steve, who's the director here. We're going to make this happen. But do me a favor. I'm like, don't wear your jeans when we're out there that day because it's going to be hot in Texas in May. Like, I mean, like, that's what this is all for. And so, like, I don't know if it's the Continental Divide, but it's from Mexico to Canada. And it's all just to meet really cool people along the way and provide whatever it looks like for them in that moment for an impact. Buying cars, furnishing apartments, buying sports equipment, like whatever is needed, whatever shows up for us, we're going to have the resources to take care of it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. So when are you doing it? You said May
18th.
Starts.
We leave Mexico, excuse me, on May 27th. And we get to Canada on June 8th. And I would just encourage like anybody listening to this, whether you want to follow along in the journey, whether you want to donate, whether you want to ride with us for a minute, a mile, a day, or whether you want to say that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Like my only piece of encouragement would be to just pause and ask somebody you meet today how they're doing. Like just see them in a different light as another human experiencing life's hills and headwinds along the way with you, and just show up for them. Like maybe it could be a cup of coffee. Maybe it could be a high five. Maybe it could be, I love your dress. Maybe it could be like, that's a cool backpack. Like we just don't know the kind of impact we can make on others if we aren't willing to stop and actually see people for who they are. And if you are inspired to join on the journey, again, go to Back the Ride, come along for a day, come along for a mile, donate some money. We're going to ride a bull in Stephenville, Texas. We're going to have a wheel of pain where people can donate to make me do harder things or make the journey more miserable for me. Like, I just really want to do as much good as we possibly can. So I'm willing to endure as much pain in order to have the opportunity to provide that impact for others.
I love it. That's awesome. Wait, you like my hat? I have the Truett hat on. I bought one.
Oh yeah, it's just pain. So Andy, so then you know Andy Glaze, right?
Yeah.
Andy Glaze is riding for us with a day just outside of Kansas City, and he was actually just with Cameron Haynes, and so I'm working to try to get Cameron Haynes to ride. Sahil Bloom's trying to ride with us for a day. Jesse Itzler might ride with us for a day. Like we've got some pretty cool people that are interested in helping us and supporting us on this journey. Matt Johnson's going to ride at least a day, maybe 2 days. So like we've got some cool people that are going to come out and support us. Ride with us, help us share the story, help us share the message, and literally just try to make the world a better place just along the way. Like it's 13 days. Hopefully we have the ability to give away more than $1 million. Hopefully it's more than that. And it's just going to be fun to see, you know, the impact we can have on a bike.
When will you be in KC?
Oklahoma City. Where the hell is Kansas City? Like I could show you guys, like, see those giant maps up in the corner? I have giant maps printed with my route, and every single day is pinned on the board.
Oh, that's sweet. I can ask you after this.
Iowa. June 2nd will be just outside of Kansas City. So June 1st, we ride through Oklahoma City, and we're in, it looks like, Wichita, Kansas. Yeah, so Kansas City to Wichita is June 2nd.
Okay.
You going to ride with him, Dane?
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah, because I'll be in Kansas City right then, I think. It's either the second or the third, but I could fly early. I'd
Come
love
on,
to
man. Like, and the cool thing is we're going to have extra bikes on the rig with us because I really want to remove all excuses from humans. And like the first excuse was like, well, how am I going to get my bike there? I'm like, I'm going to have bikes for you. What's your next excuse? Like, what's next, right? Like, keep them coming. So we'll have bikes with us on the rig. So literally all people have to do is show up. And we have a team. We have like the best crew ever. We actually just got done with this first training camp. We got a bodywork guy coming with us. We got a guy who's crewed a run across America, 2 runs across Texas, held the world record for the fastest 100-miler in Antarctica. We got a guy who did multiple crazy hikes and has crewed multiple runs across America and all this crazy shit. We have a full content team. We'll have a sprinter van behind us at all times, which will have food, water, electrolytes, gels, like whatever you could possibly need. We'll have an RV that's constantly leapfrogging us, making meals, making sure we're prepared. Like I'm literally saying like whatever people's excuse are, I'm going to like remove every opportunity for them to say they can't do this. And like everything has been removed. And like somebody's like, I don't have cycling shoes. I'm like, I got two kinds of pedals. I got the ones with the little nets that you put your shoe in. Yeah. Or if you want to get cycling pedals, here's the ones on Amazon I would recommend. Here's the cleats you'll need because those are the ones that are going to clip in. You get to choose. What's your next excuse? Like I just want to make sure nobody has an excuse. Like just remove them all.
I love that.
Mike, you got anything? You've been quiet.
No, I've just been sitting back and being amazed. I'm excited. I'm ready to go like get healthy.
Mike knows Matt. We had to get to know Matt.
Yeah, no, yeah. I was just here to do the introduction and watch.
So back the ride. If somebody wanted to reach out to join GoBundance, I'm guessing it's just GoBundance. Easy to find.
Yeah, just GoBundance. Just GoBundance.com. You can follow us on YouTube, follow us on social media. My social media is mattking.atx because apparently there's a lot of Matt Kings in the world. Who would have thought? But yeah, like if you just Google GoBundance the ride, like you'll find it. If you just Google Matt King the ride, you'll find it. If you go to backtheride.com, you'll find it. And like, yeah, I mean, just like any support, even like the negative support is incredibly helpful. Like yesterday, I was really regretting myself because after the first day, the crew chief was planning the route for day 2 of training camp. And he was telling me we're going to do the same first 55-mile loop. And there was 2 hills on that first 50-mile loop that like almost killed me. One of them literally took me 6 minutes to climb. And I was at one point like standing, like shaking the bike, trying to get it to move. And so I was like, dude, pick the flattest route. Please pick the flattest route. And so about 30 miles in yesterday, knowing that he had picked the flattest route, I was like, man, who am I to ask for a flat route? So I literally went rogue. I didn't tell them. They're behind me in the sprinter van. I didn't tell them. And I just took a right turn off the course. And they finally had an opportunity to pull up to me. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going rogue. They're like, where are you going? I'm like, you're just going to have to follow me. And so I made them follow me. And I picked the hilliest because it's my area. I know where the roads are. So I picked the hilliest possible route. And we stopped at about mile 68 for lunch. And I didn't eat. I was like, I got another idea. They're like, okay, where are we going? I'm like, follow me. So I took them to a track. I took them to the same track that 2 months ago, I wanted to ride 20 miles around a track. And I quit at mile 10 because it was 36 degrees and I couldn't feel my toes. I was like, this sucks. I'm done. And some negative hater in the YouTube comments was like, how is this dude going to ride 2,000 miles if he can't even do 20 on a track? So I was like, I'm here at the track for redemption. I'm not going to do 20. I'm going to do 33. And like, we literally rode around the track 33 miles. We were there for 2.5 hours. And I like used that negative comment as like, if I can go from 10 miles on a track to 33 miles on a track with consistency and discipline, and he then comes back and sees that, like, what will it give him permission to do? So like, even the negative comments, even like the naysayers, like, I just use it as motivation to be like, okay, well, if they don't think I can do it, let me prove to them not only I can do that, because then maybe that will give them permission to go do something in their life that they don't think they can do.
That's awesome.
33 miles on a track sucks, by the way. I wouldn't like that.
Yeah, this guy here ran 96 on a track running in the rain.
Terrible idea.
Trying to get to 100. But you can do it till later.
That's awesome, dude. I mean, like, it's that's really what I was trying to do yesterday. Was I was like, okay, I already tested my body the last day and a half. Now let me test my mind, because you know it, if you've done 96 miles, I mean, it's just like lap after lap after lap. And like, you find these beautiful moments in your mind, but then you find these really dark, really bad moments. And it's so easy to quit on a track because your car is like right there. Yeah. You're like, I could just be done right now. That's badass.
Matt, somebody wants to bring you a business deal or an investment deal. Can they reach out to you with that?
Yeah, my email is just matt@gobundance.com. It's really simple. My first name, 2 T's, @gobundance.com. Deals, opportunities, questions, curiosities, support for the ride. Like, again, I just like to be of service and in service to anybody I possibly can. I'm really fortunate to have a great team around me that helps me manage all the things that come in, so everybody gets answered. It might not be in 24 hours, but it's pretty damn quick. And if I can do anything to help anybody, it's just my honor, man. I feel incredibly fortunate and incredibly humbled to have been given the opportunities that I've earned thus far in my life, and to be able to pass that knowledge and that wisdom on to help somebody take advantage of an opportunity or avoid stepping on a landmine, man, like I do it all day.
It's awesome. I think we're going to wrap it up. Matt, it's been an honor to get to know you. It's so much fun hearing your story. We look forward to connecting with you again soon. Maybe
I can't wait to ride a bike with you.
Maybe some of us will be on that bike ride. I still have excuses. I'm old.
My only encouragement is buy the damn biking shorts, because those pads, even though it's not a big difference, it's enough difference to justify buying the shorts. Buy the shorts.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you, Matt. CEO of GoBundance, Matt King. Thanks for joining us. Deal Junkies. Hey, we love you guys. Please share us with someone you love, and we'll see you next time.